My text is just one verse from Psalm 81, verse 9. It's on page 582 of your pew Bibles. I'll be reading a few more verses from Psalm 115 a little bit later in the service, and that's on page, I wrote it down, well, it's just a few pages after Psalm 81 in your pew Bibles. I didn't even find it. It is this: there shall be no strange God among you, nor shall you worship foreign God. Let's pray. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. There shall be no strange God among you, nor shall you worship a foreign God. The expression strange God seems, well, strange in the unfamiliar, unexpected sense of the English word. And the phrase strange God appears just twice more in the New American Standard Bible that I use, both in the book of Isaiah and both with strong condemnation. The basic meaning of the Hebrew word for strange is non-acquaintance, non-relatedness, foreignness, or otherness. Of course, the reference of this verse is clearly to the first two commandments. You shall have no other gods before me, and you shall not make for yourself an idol or any likeness of what is in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the water under the earth. You shall not worship them or serve them. In modern usage, the word strange takes on the sense of unfamiliar, abnormal, or exceptional to a degree that excites wonder or astonishment, difficult to take in or account for. Many of the things that invite us to idolatry today would seem unfamiliar, exceptional, even astonishing to the ancient Israelites, and they're not the kind of things that they would be familiar with them as idols. And it is of modern idolatry that I wish to speak. I'll begin with some background on ancient idolatry, synthesize it from an essence of idolatry, and use that to examine idolatry today. I'll conclude with some suggestions how to guard against modern idolatry. Ancient idolatry took the form of the worship of other gods, the worship of images that represented false gods, or even the worship of Yahweh using images. Concentrating on just the worship of other gods and their images, an idol is an image or another object believed to be the abode of a superhuman personality. Examples of ancient idols including mountains, trees, stones, animals, and especially human or animal likenesses. The idol might be merely a representation of a higher being, itself devoid of power, or it might be worshipped as a tenement or a vehicle, or an instrument of a god imbued with divine influence. Ancient idolatry was characterized by licentiousness and sensuality. Its rituals were often practiced on hills or under every green tree, included burning incense to the god, offering tithes, pouring out libations, stretching out one's hands to the idol, prostrating oneself before the idol, offering animal sacrifices, cutting one's own body, and even offering human sacrifices. Idols were worshipped to petition gods for such things as rain, crop and animal fertility, health, victory in battle, and generally the god's beneficence. One of the central themes of the Bible, at least of the Old Testament, is the refutation of idolatry. Now, not many today, at least in our country, practice idolatry the way the ancients did. So to examine modern idolatry, we must identify the main principles or the essence of idolatry. Many have tried this. Among them, Julian Rees, who is a Belgian religious scholar and cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, wrote that idolatry consists of worshiping creation, or part of it, as God. Joy Davidman, which some of you know was C.S. Lewis's wife, wrote in her book, Smoke on the Mountain, the essence of idolatry is its attempt to control and enslave the deity. But the best summary I could find was Martin Luther's large catechism. Idolatry, Luther wrote, consists not merely in erecting an image and worshiping it, but rather in the heart, which seeks help and consolation from creatures, devils, and other things of the earth, and neither cares for God nor looks to him for so much good as to believe that he is willing to help. Neither believes that whatever good it experiences comes from God. So for this morning, let us adopt this for the remainder. The essence of idolatry is seeking the good through devotion to anything but God. I'll say it again. The essence of idolatry is seeking the good through devotion to anything but God. We seek what we believe to be good in just about everything that we do. In fact, in Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle wrote, "The good is that at which all things aim." The good is that at which all things aim. Ancient and modern idolaters might seek all kinds of good through their idols, basic necessities, health, safety, security, pleasure, happiness, satisfaction, knowledge, beauty, love, esteem, and even transcendence. Now, most of those things are good, but idolaters seek them for the wrong reasons and in the wrong places. Worshippers of God, on the other hand, seek what is truly good through devotion to God, who is the source of all that is good. Besides most of the goods I just mentioned, worshippers of God may seek through their devotion God's pleasure, his glory, personal righteousness, and the only true transcendence, which is communion with him through Jesus Christ. Idolatry seeks good through devotion to anything but God. Akin to worship, devotion is ardent attachment or affection for a thing, demonstrated by the dedication of significant amounts of time, attention, effort, and energy to it, even to the point of the sacrifice of precious things. That idolatry involves devotion in this sense is clear from the kinds of things ancient idolaters did in their rituals. But that kind of devotion to things other than God can be seen today in modern idolatry. Knowledge can be one of my idols. Knowledge is power, as the saying goes. Or at least knowledge has power, or knowledge imparts power to realize good things, to effect positive change, to satisfy curiosity, to open doors and create opportunities, to grant authority, to bring honor and worldly esteem. Those all are or can be good things, given they are sought for the right reasons and in the right ways. So, knowledge providing a pathway to these and other goods, I have affection for it. And I have spent a good part of my life dedicating time, attention, and effort to acquiring and disseminating knowledge. Studying in school, college, and university, reading books, searching and reading online, thinking, organizing knowledge, that's one of my favorite things. Writing, lecturing, teaching, and occasionally even preaching. There's nothing wrong with any of this until it becomes devotion, ardent, zealous, all-consuming attention to knowledge itself, stealing devotion from God. Neglecting that it could be directed to the glory of God, my motivation becomes not always to glorify Him, but often to answer my questions, to satisfy myself, to bring esteem and honor to me. Yes, knowledge can be my idol. Another idol can be my farm. Now, the agriculturalists in the congregation might not consider a property of 5 acres to be a farm. But it's not so much its size, but the importance I attach to it that makes it an idol. My farm offers me many goods: a place to live, a connection with the land, the potential for beauty and order, the satisfaction of maintaining it, and the esteem of others who say nice things about it. So I have affection for my farm, attachment to it, and I demonstrate that by giving it much of my time, attention, effort, and many other resources. Digging and excavating, redistributing rocks and soil, planting trees, shrubs, and grass, fertilizing, watering, mowing, managing blackberry bushes. I don't cut them down, I manage them. Trimming trees and shrubs, removing dead, failing, and displeasing trees and shrubs, planting new trees and shrubs to replace the old ones that I just dug up, building retaining walls, and maintaining the tools and equipment I use for these acts of devotion. Again, none of this is evil in itself. In fact, it can all be in line with the role God gave man to cultivate and tend the earth. It's easy for me to say that right now, outside the actual circumstances of my labors, but in the intensity of the task, the immediacy of the moment, I'm often unmindful of my responsibility of the steward of the bit of creation God has put under my charge, and motivated more by my sensibilities and my efforts to make my farm attractive and well-ordered than my responsibilities to and my relationship with Him. Yes, my farm can be my idol, as can my trombone and a few other things that I'd rather not talk about. But let me just mention some things that might be your idols. At least they seem to be common idols of our culture. Many of them would be considered by ancient peoples to be the representation or instruments of strange gods, in both senses of the word strange, to the extent that they would be other or unfamiliar, even astonishing to them as idols. But modern idols can include such things as job, career, projects, money, wealth, power, possessions, causes, Marxism, free market capitalism, ideologies, governments, constitutions, nations, persons, families, groups, or organizations, even churches, music, art, sports, nature, the earth, the universe, science. And then there are the idols of the strange god of technology. Unquestionably, even though GE doesn't use this in its slogan anymore, technology brings good things to life. Tractors, plows, seed drills, combines, trucks, mills, bakeries, shopping carts, and cars bring bread to our tables. Spinning machines, looms, fabric spreading and cutting machines, sewing machines, the internet, and e-commerce fill our closets to overflowing with clothes. Log harvesters, forwarders, log trucks, lumber mills, saws, and nail guns make possible the erection of the frames of new houses in just days. And that's only a snippet of the good things that technology brings in providing us some of the basic necessities of life. In fact, technology offers a veritable pantheon of idols to which we can direct our devotion. For example, for me, there's my laptop computer, which connected to the internet, which promises to bring me all human knowledge. My laptop computer is kind of a minion idol of my idol of knowledge. And my Kubota micro tractor is a minion idol to my farm idol. Beyond these, there are potential idols in computers in general, the web, smartphones, artificial intelligence software, vaccines, 3D printers, robots, YouTube, and Amazon Prime, to mention but a few. And these idols have their rituals, though we call them procedures. Rituals for acquisition, rituals for installation, rituals for setup, rituals for configuration, rituals for use, rituals for maintenance, rituals for troubleshooting, and on and on. Although these technological objects and others can be idols, they're not intrinsically evil. We are created in God's image. He being creative, we are by nature creative too, and creating technology is a legitimate expression of that. We could not fulfill God's cultural mandate without technology. Human material well-being has come to depend irreversibly on technology. Technological objects are instruments of God's common grace. But ever since we reached out to grasp the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden, everything we have touched, every human endeavor, every human institution has brought evil as well as good. Technology thus exists and operates in a fallen world that tends to disorder, decay, and death. And we as creators and users of technology tend to ignorance, unreason, laziness, and self-interested sin, especially the last. That makes our hearts idol factories, as Tim Keller puts it. The very functions and powers of technological objects make them particularly attractive as idols. Psalm 115 speaks of the folly of idolatry. That's in your pew Bibles on page 604 if you want to look at it. In speaking of the folly of ancient Israel's pagan neighbors, the psalmist wrote, "Their idols are silver and gold, the work of man's hands. They have mouths, but they cannot speak. They have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, but they cannot hear. They have noses, but they cannot smell. They have hands, but they cannot feel. They have feet, but they cannot walk. They cannot make a sound with their throats. Those who make them will become like them, everyone who trusts in them." Well, today, although some of our idols are still made of silver and gold, circuit boards in our computers and phones, Apple's Siri and Amazon's Alexa actually can hear human voice and respond to our queries and our commands by speaking and acting. Chemical sensors called gas chromatography mass spectrometers can smell volatile chemical compounds. Robots are being given tactile sense. Oregon State University's Cassie bipedal robot has run a 5K. But I'm not so much worried about idolizing specific technological objects, although they're potentially dangerous distractions. The greater peril lies in technology as a whole. Technology as an enterprise or an institution. Technology with a capital T. Technology is comprised of all technological objects, all technological knowledge, all technological innovation processes, and all technological practice. The power of modern technology is a strong inducement to idolatry, far exceeding that of the graven images of Bible times, enough to make technology not just an idol, but a god. And one of the strongest proponents of technology, Ray Kurzweil, would seem to agree. Kurzweil, who earned the Bachelor of Science degree at MIT, is an engineer, inventor, entrepreneur, futurist, author, and prognosticator with a pretty good track record of predicting technological developments, like the triumph of computer chess programs and the explosion of the internet. He's a recipient of numerous prestigious technology awards, as well as 21 honorary doctorates. He was personally hired by Google co-founder Larry Page to bring natural language understanding to Google products, including your Gmail. He thus has pretty good credentials to speak about technology, is an internationally acclaimed authority on the subject. At present, at least, Kurzweil is an atheist. Brought up in a Unitarian church, his religion came to be a veneration for human creativity and the power of ideas. He believes that no matter what quandaries we face, there is an idea that can enable us to prevail. And that idea is usually realized, in Kurzweil's eyes, through technology. Take death, for instance. Kurzweil himself takes over 200 vitamins and supplements a day to stay healthy enough to live long enough to live forever. That is, long enough to daisy-chain life-extending technologies indefinitely. He also plans to resurrect his dead father. And I believe that by his standards, he will accomplish that. But to my point, when asked in an interview, does God exist? Kurzweil replied, not yet. Not yet. America is becoming increasingly secular. And with those seculars seeking and needing something transcendent to give their lives meaning and purpose, technology stands to become the god of many Americans. I fear it already has. But let us not be drawn with them away from God to the strange god of technology, as many in ancient Israel were drawn from Yahweh to their neighbors' Baals. However, the supreme God, the supreme idol, I should say, the idol to which all other idols are subordinate, the one that has caused more sin, more pain and suffering, more destruction and death than all the other idols combined, is the idol of self. But I see that I've run out of time, so I'll have to wait for another sermon. So let me close with a brief summary and some suggestions to guard against modern idolatry. First of all, remember, the essence of idolatry is seeking the good through devotion to anything but God. God has surrounded us with many good things to desire and to realize. Things both good as ends in themselves and good as means to other goods. And He intends for us to enjoy their goodness. But in pursuing the good, we must reserve our devotion for Him alone. The foremost commandment is, "Hear, Oakville Church, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength." That does not mean that we must retreat from all that could be idols to stark cells and quiet cloisters, to spend every waking moment in explicit worship and prayer. For we know that whatever we do, we can and should do all things for the glory of God. And we are to do all our work heartily, as for the Lord, and not for people. Good work, well done, committed to His pleasure and to His glory, demonstrates devotion to Him. So let me suggest, as we begin each day in prayer, that we thank God for all of the good that He sends our way. That we ask Him to enable us to identify our idols, to lower them from their pedestals, and to recognize them as merely instruments of His grace. And that we ask Him to set before us good work, truly worthy things to do, to guide and bless our work and to make it fruitful for His pleasure and His glory. Eternal God, thank You for all the good with which You have blessed us. Grant us the discernment to recognize our idols, to cast them aside and to commit our ways to You, recognizing You as the source of all that is good. Amen.